Within our souls, we all possess a dream which lay dormant until intrigue strikes its match and sets the torch we carry ablaze, leading us down the path of the unknown towards our dreams. As coaches who are former high-performance athletes, our personal experiences have shown us that a coach, parent, or even a fellow athlete have the potential to either illuminate or extinguish the dreams of young athletes. Nothing is lost from the candle which lights another. We are here to share our stories and our passion to illuminate the champion within, empowering coaches, parents, and athletes to keep the flame of their dreams burning eternally. You are listening to Illuminating Champions with Michal and Ashley Anton. Welcome to another episode of Illuminating Champions. For our first-time listeners, my name is Ashley, and I'm here with my husband, Michal.
Hey, how are you guys?
We also have a very special guest with us. He is our personal coach and our brand artist. His name is Mark Patterson. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
So today's episode is entitled Grace and Gratitude, and it's all about approaching your sport, whether it be during training or competition, with grace and gratitude towards your experience, towards yourself, and just always remembering to be appreciative of the fact that you get the experience of doing your sport, that you're appreciative of all of your efforts, and just helping you maintain a positive outlook and a positive mind at all times by holding yourself gracious throughout your time within your sport. So Mark is going to help us develop this subject further. So why don't you get us started off, Mark?
Sure. Well, the idea of grace is interesting. I think we should start off by how you define it and how you see it being part of a champion mindset.
Sure. So gymnastics, of course, when you watch it as a sport, it is graceful in movement, right? It's almost like ballet combined with strength and flips, but it is a graceful sport by nature, boys and girls. And every form of gymnastics, because of course there's more than just artistic gymnastics, which is very commonly known. You have rhythmic gymnastics, which is even more graceful, and trampoline and acrobatic gymnastics. There's many genres of gymnastics.
Yeah, but rhythmic gymnastics is the most graceful out of all of them, but doesn't have boys. Has just one gender, girls.
True. But
not that one.
In any event, all are very graceful in their style of movement. And grace is really the fluidity of movement. And you need that within your own persona. So you have to remember to be gentle and delicate with yourself in the way that you're kind with yourself, in the way that you're kind with your teammates, and realize that just your everyday life is constantly moving and changing, and your training is constantly changing, whether you do a turn well or you take the next turn and it's not your best. It's constant movement. And if you approach it with grace rather than like you're hitting a brick wall and it's very stagnant movement and you get stuck in one spot, and you have grace within the fact that you're fluid and you realize that things are always changeable, then you can approach your training and your competition with a positive outlook, because you're going to realize that you're in control and that you can stay calm and poised, and that you have the ability to change whatever you'd like to change about your next turn or your next performance. Do you have anything you want to say about grace?
You said it right.
Oh, good.
Well, then let's switch to gratitude. The same question. Where does gratitude fit in the sport of gymnastics?
Okay. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So having gratitude is just like that daily, constant reminder that if I didn't have this in my life right now, I would not be as happy, or it wouldn't be such a wonderful experience for me every single day. So just remembering the fact that you can partake in gymnastics. You know, I know that sounds sometimes like ridiculous. We become not mindful of this, that not, especially in America, where opportunity comes fairly easily for most people.
Not fairly.
So you have to remember that there are other people out there that don't receive the opportunity to take part in gymnastics.
Especially other countries.
Yes. Depending on where they live.
If you look like at African countries, kids there, they love gymnastics, but they don't have facilities to do the sport. They don't have the infrastructure for it. And then, you have to be graceful for the fact and respectful for the fact that you have that opportunity, you have that chance. And it doesn't matter. Like, as good as you do, as big of a champion you are or not, and winning, gold medals, you have to appreciate the fact that you have that opportunity to participate into the sport that you love, not just gymnastics.
Yeah, whatever sport it is.
And whatever activities too, Like, we talked in one of the first episodes, and I told you, I always like piano, but I never see a piano, I never touch a piano because it was not
offered to you.
It was not an opportunity for me, understand? Where she grew up with a piano in her house. Like, her father bought her a piano as a present. She played piano. But I didn't. Maybe I would be a good piano player if I had that opportunities. And that's what's today, especially in America, and not just the kids, even the adults, they forget what good of opportunities they have, and then they take us for granted, and they don't have that appreciation, yes, towards what they have. And then sometimes you beat yourself down, and you shouldn't. You should be happy that you had that opportunity to participate in whatever you did. Like, you go to, talking gymnastics, right? You go to a gymnastics competition as a young child, girl or boy, and you didn't win state championships. And no, you go home and you hate yourself because you didn't win. Mom is yelling at you because you didn't win. And you both forgot about the fact that you actually had a good opportunity to participate in that competition, because someone else somewhere in the world sits down there and watch you on YouTube and want to have the chance you have, but they don't, and then you have to appreciate your opportunities.
It's true. And you need to be having gratitude even for yourself within your own efforts. You always have to remember to go back and appreciate the fact that you are trying your hardest, even if you're not succeeding in that moment at accomplishing all of what you want. You have to realize the small steps towards success that you're making and show yourself appreciation for everything that you're giving of yourself. So that's very important, to hold this attitude of gratitude within just appreciating effort every single day, because then you're going to stay proud and happy.
Grace doesn't come just out of your performing, especially because, if you think about grace, you think about girls executing a flow routine with music. Boys don't have that. Understand? Grace comes also from how you carry yourself during a competition, during a practice. Understand? It's your whole persona comes with that. The way you walk around, the way you talk, the way you move, the way... understand? And that's very important. And because just 1 second, you go to a competition and you fall off the beam, and then you walk away and you have a hissy fit and you start crying and you throw your bag, and that's not great. Understand? But you fell 3 times, 4 times, and you stand up always smiling, and you finish the routine, and you get off the beam and you're smiling, and you get ready for the next event, and you try to do the best execution on the next one, and you keep that positive attitude. That's also grace.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say, you said many times in our previous conversations that it's how you gracefully win, and how you gracefully lose.
Yes.
And then that attitude is what people remember.
Yes, it's true. It's how you present yourself and how people are going to remember you. They're going to remember if you have that ability to win and be proud of yourself, but also maintain humbleness and be able to be this. This is why they go hand in hand, grace and gratitude, because at as much as you're celebrating your success and you're grateful that you won, you also have to show grace and gratitude towards your fellow competitor for allowing you the chance to have someone to compete against,
to test
and
you.
to test your own abilities. And then you do that by congratulating them for their efforts, especially when you have surpassed them. It's very important that you be a gracious competitor and you uplift that person next to you on the podium. You know, we always tell our girls when they compete, if they especially if they're called up in reverse order, you know, as much as you can, try to go shake the hand of those who you pass, or at least who is standing right next to you on the podium, and tell them good job, and really mean it, like appreciate their effort, because that athlete in that moment is, of course, you know, as much as they should be appreciative of themselves, everybody, of course, wants that top spot. And when you're not getting it, it's very meaningful to have somebody else who's standing there tell you, you know, you did a great job today. Be proud of yourself. And then you uplift one another. And that's really important. And then the same thing for the person who's not standing on the very top of the podium. You know, you can't get jealous of who's standing there.
Yes.
You need to be appreciative and proud for them. Like, wow, that person really did a great job today. Good for them.
And also understand what they did better.
Right.
Why they are there. Understand? They are not there because someone just give them
it wasn't a lottery.
a gold medal. Understand? Then go to competition and the judge is like, oh, I like this girl. You know, she has blue eyes. I give her a perfect 10. It's not like that.
It's not a handout. Yeah.
Understand? The girl perform a routine. And for her to perform that routine to a perfect 10, or whatever score she need to win that gold medal, she trained very hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many routines she did in the gym, how many times she fell, how many times she stood up, how many times she go to the gym and she was scared, right? How many times she practiced being sore?
Sore, yeah.
Yeah, tired, you know, like how hard was her conditioning training? How hard was her artistic training? You know, and she got through it and she pushed herself. Like, you have to understand all those things that she did to be in that first place, or the place above you, you know, and appreciate it and respect it and learn from it and go back and try to do better than she did, you know.
Well, that's why I think it's really important that you learn to do that with yourself, because you need to realize all of those things that are happening within yourself first in order to be able to realize them within someone else. So if you're taking time to realize, like, I'm trying so hard, look at all I put in. I did go to practice with sore muscles. I did push myself when I was tired. I did have to surpass fear. Then you're able to look at your fellow competitor and be like, wow, this person did all of those things too. They actually feel exactly the same emotions that I feel. So it's really important for me to put myself in their shoes for a moment and realize what's going to make me feel good, and then do that towards the other person.
Look, in general, the athletes, even when you watch at the highest levels, professional sports or Olympic sports, the athletes that have poor sportsmanship, they have it towards them first.
Right.
They are athletes that don't appreciate themselves. Even though they are good, they compete at that high level, top level, but then they have very bad sportsmanship, right? Very bad behavior towards other competitors. They have the same behavior towards them. Then if you don't learn how to respect and appreciate yourself and appreciate your opportunities, you're not going to appreciate the others.
Right.
Understand? You're going to have that poor sportsmanship, and it's going to show in competition. Understand? It doesn't matter how good you are. People are not going to like you.
I like you use the word respect. I think that's pretty interesting. Respect for yourself, respect for the other competitors, respect for the sport. Talk about that for a second, because that goes to the depth of what you talk about with Illuminating Champions, the more than just the performance, but the environment that you work in.
But you have to, you have to understand, like, especially for me, like, why did I start to have respect for yourself? Because you see, my coaches, they was very good at coaching gymnastics, right? They was very good at making me this super athlete. But they never teach me to respect myself as an athlete. Understand? I was a champion, a national champion, and I never thought about myself in a good way. Understand? I never had an appreciation for my performing or for my effort in training. I always beat myself down that I was not good enough. I didn't do well. I didn't listen good. I was a bad person. Understand? I was never good enough for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? Like I will look in the mirror and I will be like, okay, you're not good. Understand? You are an idiot, Michael. You are like this. And those are the words that I will tell myself, because that's what the coaches will tell me while being the best in the country. Then for me, I never had that chance to, like now, if I look back at my career, like, I'm like, wow, yeah, I was a great athlete. I was a great person. You know what I mean? Like, but then I didn't respect myself. And because I didn't respect myself, I also lost my shine.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? At one point, I started losing, even as an athlete, because I would go to a competition and before I even compete, I would beat myself down. I had no respect for me. I have no trust in myself.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Yeah.
And it's very important for the coach to teach the athlete to have respect for themselves, especially in falling, in failure.
Mm-hmm.
Understand? Especially in that bad execution. No matter what the sport is, you have to respect yourself for the work that you put to try to achieve that. Just the fact that you work so hard to try to achieve something, you have to respect yourself for it, achieving it or not. That's out of the context. Understand? But just for the fact that you show up, you work hard, and you try to do that, whatever that goal you have it is, you have to have the appreciation and respect for yourself, you know? You give your time doesn't come back. Like the time that I spend in the gym every day since I was like 9 years old, 8 years old, nobody can give it back to me. I give it to the sport of gymnastics, and I give it for that goal to become the first Olympic champion. Now nobody's going to give me that time back. Mm-hmm. Then if I don't learn to respect myself for what I did, right, I will never be happy. Mm-hmm. I will always be depressed because I lost years of my life trying to achieve something that I didn't.
I think that's why a lot of athletes do become depressed, or they retire from the sport depressed, is because you do forget to appreciate your effort and appreciate the good. You know, it's very important that you can identify what you're proud of. This is something that it's very important, as Mihail said, to teach children, especially very young children. As a coach, you need to take time to do it, because naturally, as we said in the past, gymnasts are very perfectionist personality type, because the sport requires you to be. Yeah. So the innate personality is to focus on the negative, focus on what you did not yet do, and beat yourself down for it. This is just, it happens automatically within the mind of a gymnast. So you have to teach them how to strive, but how to appreciate, you know. And with really little kids, it's important that at the end of practice, especially if they had a poor practice, or if you're doing certain things where you're pointing out what somebody did well, or if somebody, you know, if you're having a contest and there's a winner, the other children need to be able to identify, like, today I was not the best one, but what did I do well? And they're not going to do that on their own, especially because, like we always say, gymnasts are very young. So if they're 5, 6 years old, you need to sit down and ask them, what are you proud of that you did today? And a lot of times in the beginning, they say, nothing, I did bad. And then you have to bring it out of them. You need to help point out what they did well and get them to realize that there was good and bad, but they need to focus on the good and then be excited to be better, rather than be upset that it wasn't good enough. And that's, you know, the opposite side of the coin that we're always looking at. It's not good enough. And that's something culturally in the sport of gymnastics that we need to change and be excited for
from
betterment.
The coaches has to teach that. Like we talk about gymnastics in the past being a very young sport, and you work with kids, but even for the older athletes, like mature athletes, like football players, right? Those guys are in 20s to 30s, right? Or baseball players. Even then, they beat themselves down sometimes, right? They have a bad game, and they look at the game just through the lens of, I lost the game, right? Then they go home and the guy drinks a bottle of Jack Daniels and dies of alcoholic coma. And they are like, oh, he was a young football player, just 30 years old. How he did that? He got depressed after that game because he lost. He didn't know how to deal with it. You know, you have to teach them too. Like, even for them, it's very important to learn when they start the sport, to learn to appreciate themselves, you know, and their effort, no matter what the outcome of that effort was. Understand? Because in the end of the day, we are all human, and you are in a competitive sport for a reason, right? You compete against someone else. Then someone else may do just better than you. You can't just
Right. And you can't identify.
disrespect yourself and not appreciate yourself because someone else had a better day that day, you know?
Yeah, I have to jump in and just say that that's what I really like about your philosophy of coaching and how you work, because you love the sport and you love the athletes. And when you talk about grace and gratitude, someone always say, well, what's that got to do with gymnastics? You know, but the way you teach the heart of a champion. It has everything to do with it. So it's a great.
But that doesn't have to do just with gymnastics. That has to do with
all of life.
Even life. Like in life, if you have grace and gratitude for yourself, you're going to be much happier. You're going to be much more competitive in life. Because like I said, grace doesn't have to do just with the movement. Like, oh, you point your toes and stretch your legs and you're very elegant doing a double layout. Grace is how you carry yourself too. You carry yourself with grace, right? And you see, like, you look at the musicians, look at actors, right, that are very famous. And you see them sometimes, they show up at an Oscar and you see the actor and he didn't win an Oscar, but the way he walk around, the way he dressed, the way he speaks, the way his charisma is very elegant, very catchy, right? That's grace. Grace comes into with confidence. That's the key of it. Like when you're a confident person and you learn to be confident, you have that grace, you know. And then you have to have the gratitude on the other side. Because look, I'm going to give you an example. Look in America. You have Hollywood, right? Those guys in Hollywood, the actors, they make millions. Like I think the poor one makes like $1 million a year. And then how hard the regular person has to work to make $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year, right? You know, and they still take overdose, alcoholic coma and stuff like this, and they kill themselves. They get depressed. Why?
They don't have gratitude.
They don't have gratitude for the work they do, for the life they have, for the opportunities they got, you know. And people look at them and they don't understand. It's like how that person, they live in a, I don't know, $10 million house. They drive a Bugatti. How they can be depressed? Because they forget to have the gratitude for the opportunities they have. Right. And doesn't matter how much money they have, doesn't matter how much success they have. If they don't have that gratitude, they're going to fall to that success. Understand?
Right. Well, you do create your own happiness, and you have to love yourself first before everything else. And that's how you maintain stability and success and feeling happy and loved in your whole entire life. And it's important that you always identify yourself as a champion. You can't identify yourself as a failure just because you're struggling or you messed up one time. You know, this has nothing to do with gymnastics, but I remember one time I was really struggling in school with math, and I was a very good student. And it was the first time in my life I ever got a bad grade on something. I was so upset about it. And my teacher was like, okay, you got, I don't remember what it was, like a 70 or something like this. And she was like, well, you know, that's okay. And I was like, no, it's not. That's terrible. And I can't understand and I can't get it. And she's like, well, okay, you got 70 out of 100. What does that mean? You know 70% of the content very well, and 30% you have to work on. And then I looked at it differently and I was like, okay, I guess that's true. That's right. I should appreciate that I did understand this amount well, and now I can work at the rest. And that's the same with everything in life, and the same with gymnastics, especially in competition. You're receiving a score, and the gymnast needs to look at it the same way. It's a correction. It's a nonverbal correction. It's a numerical correction. You did this amount of your routine very well, and we need to work at this much more. But that doesn't mean you're a failure, that you need to celebrate what you did well and that you
But you see, those tools come from the coach. Like the coach is the one that has to teach the athlete how to think. Understand? It is the coach job. Like the athlete's not just going to roll off the bed, come in the gym like a 6 years old, 7 years old little girl, and she's going to be like, you know what? I know how to have gratitude for me.
Yeah.
I know how to have grace. You know, I know how to think correctly. No, you have to teach her. She's going to, especially someone who is competitive, is going to forget to have gratitude.
Yeah.
Because they want to win. Understand? They want to be the best. And when they are not the best, they don't feel good about it because their mentality is to be the number one. And you have to teach them how to feel good as when they are number one and as good as when they are number last. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you cannot just like give up on you just because you had a bad performing one day.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I had a girl, like she was very, very famous, very good. And every time I coach her, she was a perfectionist. And for her was just like, she had to do a trick. Like if I say, okay, let's do a double layout on floor, she had to do it in one repetition. Like she wants to get it by herself. And you can't. I will have to sit down here and be like, honey, you're not going to get this trick in 2 repetitions. It's going to take us 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You know, I'm going to spot you. You're going to do it maybe almost by yourself. You're going to fall. We're going to do it again and again. And takes time. And she will do that with everything. Like we will be on bars and she will do giants. We'll learn giants to compete giants first time. And she will be so close to going that giant over the bar by herself. And she will get almost to the handstand and then fall on the other side. And I will catch her, put her down. She will start crying. I'm like, why are you crying? I didn't do it. I'm like, yeah, but you tried to do it, didn't you? And I will sit down with her and I will explain her, like, look, why are you so upset? Oh, I'm not good. I was scared. I'm like, and did you get in a handstand? Did you try to do that giant? Yes. Okay, then let's just practice it a little more. Understand? But in her head, she was so competitive that she had to get it in one step. Then as a coach, if I didn't pay attention to her, you know, she will never get it because she will beat herself down before she even will push herself a little bit. Because she always will tell herself, like if she didn't get something, like if I said, okay, let's do this by herself, and she will put her hand down and fall, she will give up.
Yeah. Because
she was not good. She'll just be like, okay, I can't do this. You know, because it didn't come out like boom in the first repetition. And you have to teach them, you know, and you have to teach them. Like I have girls even now in the gym. I have girls that are very good, very talented. I have a little girl I just told you a while ago. She came to my gym, just came to my gym. And she's very scared. You know, she never did gymnastics at a higher level. You know, she doesn't trust herself. And she has big fear, you know, that keeps her a little bit back. But she always beats herself down with that. And the other day we did like a double pike. I teach her first time a double pike. And while I was trying to teach her the things she would be telling me, because she would keep herself back and she was terrified to do it. We're like, I'm scared. Like I can't do, like I'm not strong. I'm like, no, you are. I'm like, look at you. You tried to do it and you are scared. Like if I was as terrified as you to do this trick, I will go home. You know, I'll not try it again. You are going back over and over again. You try to do it. Like you should be proud of yourself. You know what I mean? You should like prize yourself for the courage that you have. You know, but you see, like if you don't teach them, if you don't give them the tools, they are ending up giving up on themselves and thinking like, you know what, I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not elegant enough. I'm not whatever they told them, you know. Like I told you, my coaches they used to make fun of me being skinny. Right? And they always will be like, oh, you are weak, like physically, right? Compared with my teammates. And I always believe that I'm weak. I always look at it. I'm like, I'm not a strong guy. You know, I cannot do ring, for example. I couldn't be very good on ring because I was skinny. Or I cannot do that trick because I was skinny. Like that was always in my head because they will tell me that. They put that in my head. Took me to become like 19, 20 years old and be like, you know what, I want to do this. You know? And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I'm not actually that weak. I'm actually strong. I said, but it was too late in my career. Right? If my coaches in the beginning of my career, they never point out the fact that I was skinny or I was weak, and they will try to encourage me that I'm strong and I can do it, and just give me the right tools to actually get stronger and do what I want to do. No, I will be a better athlete. But they always remind me how bad I was, right? To the point that I believe it.
Right.
You know.
But again, I think that's why you're a great coach. You experienced both championship and great and terrible coaching. So it's the difference, you know. I think it's great.
Yeah.
But that's where my thinking process comes today as a coach, you know, because I lived through everything. It's like, I have to be honest. I lived through everything, understand? I had coaches that were very good. I had coaches that they didn't even know gymnastics, but they have the position. I don't know how. I have coaches that were nice with words. I have coaches that didn't know how to speak, but they hit very hard. You know, I was a champion. I was in last place. Like, I got through, I was the one in the country at one point that everybody look at him. I was the guy that people close the door in him. The same people that opened the door for me will close the door in my face. I said, like, then I experienced, and now being older and coaching, obviously, like, I want to bring to my athletes the experience that's going to build them, not just to win a competition in gymnastics, but win in life. Understand? Like I told you in the past, you don't have to be an Olympic champion in a sport. You can be an Olympic champion in life if you have that Olympic champion attitude and mindset and heart, you know, and that you can teach someone who's not that athletic to be the Olympic champion. Because yes, in the end of the day, you have to have that athletic gift too from God to be that one in the world. Understand? It's a whole package that has to be together. And some of us are lucky to have it. Some of us are not that lucky to have that. But they can have the mindset and the heart. You can have it. The athletic skills are a different ball game. Understand? But everybody can have that heart and mentality to be an Olympic champion in life. Because academic, everybody can study. Everybody can push themselves to be a doctor, a lawyer, a good doctor. No.
Yes, and I think, you know, going back to what you're saying with coaches, really setting the tone of teaching gymnasts or athletes how to have gratitude, besides within themselves, it really develops the environment within your whole training facility. You know, it's very important that you're an example and showing gratitude to your athlete for coming to practice and trying hard and emphasizing how great it is when they put forth their best effort, not just because that's going to allow them to do well, but because they're appreciative of the time that they're spending in the gym. And that's their form of respecting themselves or respecting their parent for allowing them the opportunity to do their sport. And then, of course, it's respectful of the coach as well, who's giving their best effort. And then celebrating all of them equally, regardless of their athletic ability. It's important that athletes learn to be non-judgmental of one another for athletic performance or athletic ability. That is only used as a tool to make the difference between this skill is done this amount correct or incorrect. And beyond that, the athlete is first your teammate and a human and somebody that you need to be respectful of. And you need to help uplift, you know, and in our gym, because we have a small gym, we have different levels training at the same time, which sometimes is unusual depending on the facility. But we have a mixture of abilities and interests and levels at the same time, but nobody feels the difference in their level because every gymnast is taught to respect one another and uplift one another and celebrate one another. Sometimes you have a gymnast that they're doing the most novice skill and it took them the longest out of the entire team to get it. And the whole team is there yelling and cheering for them to make it. And it's the most beautiful thing because it's the person on the team that struggled the most with the skill that's so easy for everyone else, but they're so excited for
because
her.
for that girl, for example, that carol is
Yeah.
like for Simone Biles doing a Biles on vault at the World
Right.
Championships, right? Around a Yurchenko double and a half pike, right? No, Simone Biles is super gifted. Like God gave her talent. Like he forgot to stop it. You know? I mean, like, I don't know. Like was a manufacturer mistake. You know? I mean, like the machine didn't work well and like overflow the talent. Like she's very talented. You can't take that from her. Like, you know. But then you have someone who's not that talented, like, but they work hard, they want it. You have to teach them to appreciate themselves for themselves, understand? Because you cannot appreciate yourself comparing yourself with someone else. Right. You have to appreciate yourself comparing yourself with you. Like, where did you start?
Right.
What are your abilities in what you are doing? You know, you have to be honest with you and learn to be honest with you. You know. But you can't sit down there and be like, I didn't beat Simone Biles. Meanwhile, you know, you barely can do a middle split because you don't have the physical ability to do that. Like, yeah, you're not going to be Simone Biles. But guess what? What you did, what you achieved with your abilities, it's amazing. You know, like I have a girl in the gym. She's old. She loves gymnastics, you know, and she started, I think, when she was 19. And she comes privately. She's now like 24 and she loves it. And she always is like, oh, I would like to go to the Olympics. I would like to do what Simone Biles does, you know? And I had to teach her at one point, like, I would be like, okay, but you have to appreciate you for what you achieve. Because you start gymnastics at 19 years old. It's impossible. Like I had to be honest with her at one point. I had a conversation with her and I had to be honest and be like, it's impossible, you know, like, and she's talented. Like the kid could do gymnastics. Like if she starts gymnastics at 5, 6, 7 years old, she will be top gymnast. You know, she'll be very good. But she started late, and now she learned. Now she appreciates herself. But she had hard time at one point because she knew she could do it. She knew if she started earlier, she will have a chance. But she didn't know how to appreciate herself for what she was doing already, which was amazing. You know. Well, look, I did gymnastics for my life, but now if I go in the gym and I want to do a double flip, my back is going to hurt. I'm like, and I look at her, I'm like, you are like 19, 20 years old and you're doing stuff like this. It's amazing, you know?
Yeah, it is. And you have to appreciate every single turn you take, every single thing you try to do well, the fact that you're trying to better yourself, and you can't, you know, beat yourself down or feel poorly if you take a little bit longer to learn something than somebody else. That's a really hard concept for gymnasts too, especially young, because sometimes they don't realize it in the very beginning, but then they get to a point where they realize, like, I'm the last one to attain this, and they feel bad about themselves. I have a group of really little ones. They're all 5, and one of them is struggling to get her vault. She's a little scared of it. And she realized that she was the last one to do it. And she said, well, I feel kind of lonely because she can't get it. And that was her way of expressing that at 5. Right. And all of her teammates
One thing, and you see, and now if the coach is not there, she's going to feel lonely.
Right.
She's 5 years old.
So
she doesn't know how to change that.
No. So we were standing together, and all of her teammates, because, you know, these conversations we have with you, we have with them in the way they can understand at 5. So they all were like, well, don't feel lonely. We know you could do it. You could do it. You're a champion. You're going to get it. Just keep trying, just like you told us, because she didn't even realize that in the past she had times that she was telling her teammates that they can do something and don't give up and never stop trying until you get it, because she had attained something faster than them. And then she thought about it and she was like, oh yeah, I did say that. and then you did do it. And I said, so see, don't feel bad. Everybody learns at a different speed. That doesn't mean you're never going to get it. That just means you just keep going and you remember what you want and you be proud of how far that you got. And then her whole attitude changed. And now she's not upset and she's coming closer and closer to attaining it. So you have to be there as a coach, and you have to be again, in tune with their emotions and realize what they might be going through in that moment and remind them like, hey, be proud of yourself. So,
yeah. But even as a coach, you have to show that grace and gratitude in your behavior towards the athlete. Understand? Sure. You cannot show happiness and like, like have that grace in behavior just when the athlete wins.
Right.
Understand? You have to have same behavior. For example, my behavior doesn't change at competition at all. You win or you come in the last place, and I treat you the same way. It's not like I don't care. I care, but I'm not gonna change just because you didn't win, because I'm looking at how hard you work to get to that competition. That's what I'm taking with me when I go to that competition day. Understand?
You're appreciating.
Yes, I'm appreciating the fact that you show up to practice, your parents pay for you to do the sport. Sure. And then, yes, I'm not going to be happy for you to not be happy, but I'm not going to show you that. I'm going to show you that with the training. We're going to go back in practice, and I'm going to make that adjustment to your training. I'm going to give you the right training for you to fix the mistakes that you did in competition and help you understand where those mistakes came from, But I'm going to have grace and I'm going to have gratitude. I'm going to show you respect in winning, and I'm going to show you the same respect in losing.
I want to add to your sentiment right now. One of the most profound memories I have from being at a competition in recent years, and it's something that it really got to my heart in a saddening way, is that we had a level of girls that are mixed in ability. It's a little bit more of an open program where you can have a range of ability and a range of skill. And we finished our floor rotation, and the judges are not really supposed to speak to you as a coach during competition. And the judge stopped us while rotating to the next event. And she was like, "Thank you for what you're doing." And we were like, "What?" And she's like, it's so beautiful to see that you treat all the kids the same. And I was like, "What?" And she was like, it doesn't matter to you. You can see some, there's a range of ability within your group, but you don't show it by the way that you approach them. And I told her thank you, of course, at the time, but it bothered me for the whole rest of the competition, because I'm like, wow, she's sitting there for hours throughout the day. A judge's day can be very, very long. They can start at 8 a.m. and finish at 8 p.m. And for her to stop us after the floor rotation, I said, how many coaches does she see treat the gymnast differently based upon their athletic ability or if they perform their routine well or not? And that's horrible, because for us, it's like, of course we treat them all the same. They're all on our team. They're all trying hard. How athletically inclined they are doesn't matter. It's their effort that matters. The child that struggles to do a cartwheel, or the one that easily does a double layout, they experience the same emotions as one another. They all care to do well. They all have fears. They all have doubts. They all have hard moments to surpass. They all want to be successful. They all get nervous. They're all happy when they win. They're all sad when they don't perform their best. They feel the same exact way. The sport means just as much to them. Then if the sport's as important to the child that struggles as it is to the child that it comes easily to, then they have to be as important to you as a coach. You can't treat
and you
them
have these
differently.
mentalities, especially in US, because it's a business concept of the sport, and you have different levels and different programs, and people have the tendency, the coaches, especially in the gym, they have the tendency that the programs that are like, they have Excel, for example, it's called Excel program.
Right, so I was referring
That's
to.
a little bit more relaxed, I know. And they look at it, oh, it's just Excel. And I always tell them, and I get upset, because I tell them, like, listen, the Excel girls, or like the girl that compete level 2 or level 3 or Excel bronze or Excel silver, has the same emotion like Simone Biles has when they go to competition.
It's relevant to their experience.
Because, yeah, Simone Biles goes to World Championships and Olympic Games, but this girl goes to state championships. She feels the same because for her, that state championships is the Olympic Games.
Right.
It's the same equivalent. She shows up to practice. She wants to learn. She has desire. She has fear. She has dreams, exactly like an elite gymnast. Then treat her with the same respect, you know. And coaches have the tendency to change the respect based on the athletic level of the athlete. Understand? Like, oh, if you coach Simone Biles or she's Simone Biles, treat her nicely. You know, you can't be disrespectful with Simone. But if the girl is a little girl that, or not even a little girl, it's a 14 years old girl that's like, I don't know, Excel gold, and she struggle, she's a nobody. Understand?
Right.
Like a coach, like at a high level, like let's say we talk about Simone and their coaches are like the top coaches now in the country here in the US. You think her coach is going to go and like help a girl in Excel silver to do a back handspring? Maybe for a picture or for a video, they look good. But I say like emotionally, they're not going to look at that girl and be like, yeah, let me treat her exactly how I treat Simone. No. And they don't have the mentality. The coaches don't have that mentality to treat the athletes equally. You know, they treat the athletes based on the athletic success. And it's not fair because you have someone that doesn't have that athletic skill, no, the natural talent and natural physical ability to do the sport, but they have the desire, they work hard, like respect them for that.
Right. And that's, you know, they take that from you. They mirror your respect towards them, to the respect that they give themselves. Then they start not valuing themselves, and they don't think that they're important because they're not of a certain level. And that's exactly what you don't want to happen. So it's very, very important that you're celebratory of everyone and you teach everyone to be celebratory of everyone else, because it goes back to, you know, your intention and your foundation of what's important to you. That's what, you know, you're valued by. You're not valued by if you got a perfect 10 or a 5.5. That doesn't change your value as a person or as an athlete. So this is all going back and connecting with this grace and gratitude concept. Do you have anything you want to add? Because I want to move on to something different if you don't.
No, move something.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to take a minute.
Because then I'm gonna tell the coaches more than I.
No, okay. Okay. Well, I just wanted to remind everyone who's been following along with us. We keep mentioning this parent workshop that we're starting. And we keep saying we're starting. If you watched the last episode, you're going to know we delayed it a little bit because our websites got hacked. So no one could sign up for this. This has taken a very long time to repair. It's almost done. And we actually built a whole new platform that we're really excited about. So we used the moment of, you know, struggle and pain to elevate what we're offering. So stay tuned for a brand new website. It's going to be coming out. We're going to be starting this parent workshop on November 12th. We have to push it back one more week because our website, believe it or not, is still being repaired for malware. So it has been quite a nightmare, but we encourage everybody to keep checking in. And it should be available to sign up for. I'm hoping everything is repaired by this weekend so that you can all sign up. But it's going to be a great workshop. It's all about preparing and prepping for competition season. And it's appropriate for parents who are first-time competitive gymnastics parents or very experienced gymnastics parents. It's reminding you the best ways to prep your athlete for competition from the night before, the morning of, what to eat, how to prepare their garments, their hair, what products to get, what they're going to be experiencing emotionally, and how to
the hair products. I'm going to be the one telling the parents.
Yeah, how to deal with that, and just really allowing their competitive experience to be the best one possible, because that is the time where all of their emotions are extremely heightened It's very important to them
Well,
because
I have to do makeup in Cirque du Soleil.
you did have to do makeup in Cirque du
I took makeup
Soleil.
classes over there. They teach me how to do makeup professionally.
So anyways, we are going to be going over all of these things. It's going to be written content. There's going to be live video that you can participate in so that you can ask questions. You're going to hear from a company called Full Out Recruit. It's a company that helps with the college recruiting process, which actually starts at a very, very young age for gymnastics. And they're going to be explaining the different divisions of college and how you can prepare your gymnast to have the best chance at being recruited. And then we're also going to be doing some different giveaways, including what you see behind us, this product called Canteen. So this is from a company called Redcon One. They actually sponsored our giveaways for this particular workshop. They are a nutritional supplement company, and this particular product is electrolytes. So it's even safe for child athletes, which is why they sponsored it for us. So it's a great thing to add into their water during training to really help them hydrate effectively. So once you enroll in this workshop, you're going to be automatically entered for a chance to win one of these. And it's a large packet, should last you at least a month if they're taking it every single day. So we're really excited to have this. Michal and myself actually use this on a daily basis and we love it. So we're excited for everyone else to try it.
I don't.
You don't love it?
No.
Well, I love it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good.
They're very good. So please stay tuned for this. And we apologize for the unexpected delay. It's not been fun to deal with, but we are moving onwards and upwards. As
looks like I'm important for the hacker. I don't know why they want to hack my website.
I don't know, but I wish they didn't. But going back to our episode and tying that off today and this concept of grace and gratitude and leaving everyone with some advice so that they can remember these two things on a daily basis and create luminous moments. We want to start off with a tip for coaches, and that is going to be to let athletes know that whether it's during success or failure, the moment is fluid. Just like you want their routine to be graceful and fluid, it's not permanent. So they have to appreciate their success and realize that that's changeable and
very, very easy.
Very easily. So they have to always keep trying to up their game. And they have to also, in failure or moments that they perceive as failure, remind them that that's changeable too, and not to stay fixated and stuck on this moment of, not their best performance. They have the ability to change it right away.
1 second here, I'm going to ask something. You see, my first coach used to tell me, you are champion in the arena when you are on the first place on the podium. The second you step foot out of that first place on the podium, you're not the champion. You have to become the champion again.
Yeah.
Someone else can be the champion next time.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're the champion just in that moment. When you are stepping up on the first place on the podium and the medal comes around your neck and you put your hands up and the arena claps, that's your moment to be a champion. The second you step foot out, you're not a champion anymore. And then you have to work hard to go back and become a champion again. And then you have to appreciate yourself and respect yourself for that. And it's the same thing for the person that's in the last place.
Right.
You are in the last place, that competition, when they call you in the last place. The second you step foot out of that last place, you're not last place anymore. You can be the champion next time if you do the right things that you have to do to adjust your execution.
Right.
And that's what the coaches has to teach the athletes and give them the tool to understand the power that they have,
yes.
to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. And, during competition, especially, or even during practice, it's very important that you teach your athletes to commend a fellow teammate or a fellow competitor, even if it's someone, from an opposing team. If they're on the podium together, it's still a chance for them to tell somebody else, great job today, and really show great sportsmanship and mean it. Be appreciative of that other person, even if it's especially when it's someone that gives you a large challenge. You know, that you need to be grateful that you have somebody to challenge you. You can't become jealous of them. Yeah. So that's our tip for coaches.
You see, like people have to understand it's much easier to have that humble behavior when you are the champion, understand? Because you come from here and you look down at the people and you say, oh, good job, guys. I'm the best. Understand? It's coming from a
elevated
like a boss position, understand? Down to the little ones, right? But it's much harder to lose a competition and really have that humbleness where you go to this one that performed better than you and like shake the hand and be like, good performing today, like you really deserve it. Takes a lot from someone who just lost to do that. It's much easier when you are the champion. Because I said, even with the coach, right? Remember I said, like, I want to be your coach in your worst moment, not in the good moment. Because the good moment when you are a champion, it's easy. Everybody wants to take a picture. Everybody wants an autograph, right? It's easy to show up and be like, oh, I'm the coach, my athlete, the best one. But when your athlete is in the last place, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of like, I don't know, like she come in last place. It's hard, right? It's the same thing for the athlete. The athlete that's in the last place is much harder to go to someone that plays above them and be like, honestly, mean it, and be like, you did a great job. You had the best performing today. Congratulations. You know, it's much harder.
Right. So moving on to our tip for parents. It's important because your role is a little bit behind the scenes, right? For you to take time
not a little bit.
After the practice or the competition, particularly when it was a hard day or the athlete is coming home frustrated, to talk to them about what they're proud of. You know, flip their mindset. Don't let them dwell on the frustration. Ask them what they did well and really make them think about it and sit down and identify what they did well that day on all the different apparatuses that they performed on in that practice or in competition, and then help them set a goal for what they want to do better and get excited for betterment rather than, you know, sitting there and dwelling on their frustration. And be an example of humbleness and sportsmanship for your athlete. It's very important that you as a parent are able to tell your child's competitor, especially when they're on the same team, because in gymnastics, it's in an individual sport. You compete against your own teammate, even when it's your best friend.
Yeah, it's a fun
you
sport
need to be able to tell another child that they did a great job and say like, wow, didn't so-and-so do great today? And have your athlete be able to admit, yes, they did. And then you're setting that example and that tone for like, you know what? I don't need to base my success or insuccess on somebody else. I base it upon myself, and I can still always appreciate the efforts and success of another person.
And also,
without
I don't have to
myself.
appreciate myself based on my success.
Right.
It's based on my work towards that success.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
The desire.
My desire, like, that's what you have to appreciate yourself.
Yes.
Especially when you do something competitive. It's the work that you put towards that goal that you have to appreciate yourself on. Like, if you know, like, you've been lazy and you didn't work hard and you didn't show up to practice, then yeah, be disappointed. And you have no reason to not be disappointed.
But change it. Don't get stuck
change
on
it. Don't give up on it. Yeah. But when you know that you work as hard as possible, you push yourself through whatever you push yourself. I don't know. You show up to practice with fever, with pain, with hungry. You didn't have food at home. You didn't have shoes. You didn't have, like, it's many things that can be an obstacle in your way. And you did all those things, then appreciate yourself for it.
Right. And lastly, our tip for athletes is remember why you started your sport and what you love about it all the time, particularly in moments that you are frustrated. You know, if you're in gymnastics, a lot of times there's children that are younger than you. Look at them and see how excited they are and see how much they appreciate you and what you're doing, and that they're looking at you, if you're a level above them, that you're amazing. And remember that you're amazing. Remember, when you go to a competition, everybody is there, no matter what level you are, to watch you. Then what you're doing is something amazing and profound, and not something that everybody is athletically capable of, even if you're at the lowest level of the sport. So appreciate that about yourself.
And don't forget from where you start.
Yes. Remember where you started. Remember your struggles and that you've overcome, and like try to keep a journal of things that you're proud of, especially for older athletes. If they get in that mindset that they're struggling and they're frustrated and they are feeling a little bit depressed, try to journal after practice what you did well that day, what made you proud of yourself, and then set a goal for the next practice and really, really appreciate your effort. And then going back to good sportsmanship, take time to congratulate a teammate or a fellow competitor and really be appreciative of their effort and uplift them the same way that you would like everybody to do with you. So treat others the way that you want to be treated.
And always think that you could be a role model for someone else.
Right.
Like if you have a struggle as an athlete, think about that. There are millions of athletes that have the same struggle with you. Try to be the one that's the role model. Help the other one change it.
Yes.
By seeing you performing through that struggle. Understand? And I'm going to give an example. I have a little girl, I told you before, she just came to my gym. I talked about her like in this episode a little bit. And I just taught her a double pike. And I told her she was very scared. She was afraid. I did like first time she double flips. And she was scared, very scared. And I'm working with her, we do it, and she's terrified. And she, at one point, she told me, it's like, I can't do it. I say, why? It's like, I'm scared, you know. And I told her, I said, listen, you are scared, but you are also brave. I explained her, like, you are doing it. You go through it. You're terrified, but you try over and over again. I said, look, there are many girls that are like you, that are scared, that are afraid. I say, can you be a role model for them? Can you please, for me, like, can you show them how is to be courageous? How is to fight fear and go through fear? And her mindset changed. And she looked at me like, it's like, okay. I said, okay, all I want you to do is this. And I gave her the technical correction, right? She got up and bam, she did it. Mm-hmm. You can watch the video, is on Instagram with her, right? She was so happy and so excited, you know. But took me as a coach to figure out. It was like a 20 minutes battle, you know, to go through that emotions with her. But it's important for the athlete to feel special, understand? And to feel that they are not by themselves. They are not the only one that struggle. Are many others there that struggle, and they can be their role model for them, you know. But you see, for me too, like, the reason I was able to explain my athlete in that way, in that moment, was because I was an athlete that struggled. Understand? I was the guy that was not a super athlete right from the beginning. And then I had to work through, but I didn't have a coach to teach me that way. Understand? I didn't have a coach to tell me like, yeah, you can be a role model for other skinny guys. Understand? Or for weak guys or for sick guys. No. And it's very important to teach the kids to have good thinking about themselves, you know.
And feel that they
and
have
feel
power.
Special. They have the power. They have the magic. The athlete has the magic, and the magic stays in their behavior, stays in their work ethic, you know, thinking process.
Right. No, that was an incredible moment because her entire mindset just flipped, and she was suddenly uplifted because she realized, like, okay, I'm going to be that person
for those girls.
For them. And then she went for it. She found the strength within herself to allow herself to go for it because it meant something to her to impact another athlete. And then she realized like how special she is. Yeah. And it was just, it was beautiful to watch. Because of course I was the one behind the camera watching this. So I loved it. But in any event, we want to say thank you to everybody for listening, and thank you to Mark for helping us with this episode. And stay tuned, everybody, for our brand new website. Keep checking back in and be ready for that parent workshop and more to follow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Illuminating Champions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for our next episode.